Hey, welcome to Commute with a Content Marketer, the show about content marketing. A little bit of a mix of Jerry Seinfeld's comedians in cars getting coffee, mixed with hot ones and a lot of other things. Probably not as funny, but we're having a good time. I'm here with Sharon Hyman. How are you, Sharon?
Very good. Nice to meet you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's fantastic to be here with you. Let's go for a walk.
Yeah.
Obviously, the idea of the podcast here is that we are joining you on your commute, right?
Yes.
But you're already at work.
Yes.
Yeah, you've already arrived at work, and we thought it's just great because you work in such an amazing area, close to Barbican. Is that right?
Yeah. No, this Tate Modern.
Tate Modern. Black.
Also
Sorry,
known as
what am I
Southwark.
saying? Barbican.
Yeah.
Blackfriars.
That's the other side of the river.
That's the other side of the river, and we're walking here along the Thames.
Yeah.
And it's just absolutely stunning. Beautiful day here in London. You know what I love, Sharon, is like there's little beaches there on the Thames. Do you ever go to the beach?
No.
No?
But there are lots of people who do like to go. They're called mudlarkers.
Mudlarkers.
Yes, that's what they call the people that like to go and scour those. You only see them at low tide.
Yeah.
And there's all sorts of treasures, apparently.
There's
that
treasures.
you can dig up. Yeah, all
like
kinds
with
of things.
do they go with like metal detectors and
Oh,
stuff?
yeah. You see
Okay.
them.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
mudlarking.
Oh, wow.
Quite a wonderfully eccentric London hobby.
Yeah, fantastic. Hey, so Sharon, tell us a bit about your job at Forsta, your content marketing lead at Forsta.
Yep.
Tell us about what you do there and the company.
Yep. So Forsta is a B2B tech SaaS company. We specialize in the human experience platform, which is the world's only human experience platform where we help companies really understand their audience, their customers, what drives them, what motivates them, their behaviors, their thoughts, their feelings. Some cutting edge technology. Things like, emotion engines, sentiment analysis. We really help companies understand who that they're talking to.
Okay. And so who's your kind of like, because I'm a content marketer too, I think personas immediately, right? So who's buying your software? Right.
So, we have across the whole sort of business world, really. We're looking at, obviously, CXOs, Chief Experience Officers. We're also looking at ops leaders. We sell to some marketing leads. The idea is that anyone who has an interest in their customer and in their audience. And of course, the other side of the coin is the market research world. So a lot of our customers, our clients, are market research agencies that are using our technology to really delve deep into their audiences and deliver the research projects to their clients.
Right. Okay, cool. So you got that kind of like in customer and kind of like a middleman type customer.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, Sharon, we're going to talk today about tone of voice a little bit. And I'm excited to talk to you about that because it's something as a content marketer that has to be such a living thing, right?
Absolutely.
And then I think we're going to talk a little bit about relationship building as a content marketer.
Yep.
And that's, on our briefing call, you were just on fire talking about that. I thought it was so good.
It's one of my passion projects.
So good. And then at the end, people have to listen to the end because at the end, I think you're going to have some copywriting tips for non-writers.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
But let's start with the tone of voice piece, okay? So, and it's just such a beautiful day. Look at that sun on our face.
I know, it's beautiful.
Wow. London.
Got to make the most. It's like the second day of summer. That's it. We've had about 2 days of summer this year.
Oh, shoot.
So.
Okay, so tone of voice. First of all, how would you even describe it? How would you even define it, I guess?
Right. So your tone of voice is really, when you're writing, it's how do you sound?
Yeah.
In a company context, it's sort of the choice of, like, how do you want to sound to your audience?
Yeah.
Are you expert? Are you irreverent? Are you authentic?
Yeah.
Are you warm? These sorts of things. Like, some companies really, like, think about in the legal sector, right? They need to sound absolutely authoritative.
Yeah.
Whereas, retailers can maybe get away with a bit more of irreverence. I'm thinking the classic example is innocent. Or surreal. So it's really about how you speak to
how you speak.
audience.
Yeah. And like the first thing I think when we talk about tone of voice is like, it feels very subjective. Like there you talk about irreverent or authoritative, right? But that could mean one thing to me and another thing to you.
Yeah, so of course yes and no, right? There are certain parameters that everyone knows what it sounds like when you're being an expert.
Right.
When you're being funny, And of course, that ties in a little bit. You have to be aware of your audience and what they're going to find.
Right.
Right. Because, that's also the other half of it. It's not just how you speak, it's how your audience is going to hear it.
Right. Totally.
But there is definitely there are definitely North Stars that everyone can sort of agree on.
Right. Okay. And actually what you just said, it reminds me of something I heard someone say. It may be a famous quote from someone, I don't know. But it says something like, in communication, it's not what you say that matters, it's what they hear.
Yeah.
I think that's so because so much as a marketer or as a content person, we're focused on what we're saying, right?
Yep.
But sometimes maybe we have to be more focused on what they might be hearing. And that speaks to getting feedback from them and understanding them better, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
So, okay. So tone of voice, it's about that, right? So can you talk me through how do you go about deciding your brand's tone of voice?
Right. So I have to admit, at Forsta, we actually outsourced this to some degree.
Yeah.
We worked with an amazing agency called The Writer, who built our brand voice for us and our brand and our guidelines.
Okay.
So I say that right up. There are experts in this.
Yeah.
I always think it's important to include experts when you're working on something that's so important to your brand. It's a core part of your brand.
Yeah.
So I encourage that. We could not have done it at Forsta without The Writer. So just a little shout out to them.
Good on them.
Yeah. So, you have to look at what you think your audience would like to hear and how they're going to understand and speak their language, of course. But also be a little bit bold, right? You want to be distinctive. It's a key differentiator, I personally think, in terms of a company, is the brand voice, as well as the brand in general. People think about logos and colors, but for writing, especially as we move into a world where content is so important, brand also plays out throughout your copy and your text.
It's almost people think immediately of logos and colors and stuff. Yeah. But for me, the tone of voice is almost how you bring the brand to life.
Absolutely.
In so many ways, right?
Yeah. You know how when you read an email from a friend, well, if anyone emails anymore, I don't know, or a WhatsApp, you can hear them in your head.
Yeah.
And that's the goal. That's the ultimate goal, I think, is that your brand voice should be so distinctive and so you, that even if someone was reading a plain text piece of copy without your logo, without your colors, without your imagery, they would know that it was your brand.
It was you. Wow. Okay, so where are we walking through now, Sharon?
We're walking through the Clink.
Oh, the
Clink. Next to the Clink, which is the very famous original prison.
Ah, yes.
And
should we just spin around? And
in fact,
here it is.
Yeah, now it's been a bit gentrified. You've got some fancy restaurants.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's jailed now.
Oh.
There's a museum.
Okay.
You see the blue plaque there might be interesting.
Yeah. The blue plaque. The Clink, most notorious medieval prison. Thank you for bringing us here, Sharon.
I wish I could tell you who the famous prisoners were, but my London history is not that great. So that was the one part of school I didn't pay much attention to.
No, that's all good. Okay, so tone of voice. Also want to explore how, I guess, we mentioned before that it's quite a living thing, right? Yeah. So maybe you get, you talked about working with an external agency and perhaps getting a jazzy presentation, and they tell you this is your brand voice, right?
Yeah.
But I imagine over time, sticking to that is a challenge, or bringing, I don't know if sticking to it is the right word, or just making it a reality. Oh my gosh, there's a reversing truck. That's what this podcast is all about.
Yeah.
It's content in the wild. So down that way. So what do you think about that? Once you get that glitzy thing, what do you do with it from there?
Yeah.
And how do you keep it reality?
So I think the cool part here is that if you've done it right to begin with, it feels easy.
Yeah.
And you get the buy-in that you need from everyone across the organization, not just marketing.
Yeah. He's passing us.
If it feels authentic, then people are going to want to do it.
Right.
Because it feels like that it's easy for them.
Yeah.
So there's that. I would say that within marketing, obviously, you do have to run some education, especially if your brand voice is changing or is a new part of a rebrand or something like that. So workshops, a bit of guidance. I always think about this, that you need these three things. You need guardrails and you need inspiration.
Yeah.
And you also need encouragement. So things like you have to encourage everyone to join in and to do and to own it
Yeah.
and to share their opinions, right? Like we all know copy is a living thing. It's not, there is no 100% right answer. It's very subjective. One person can like to say it in a certain way and the other person thinks it's better in another. So there is that like encouragement where you should ask people what they think about what the brand voice should be and how they interpret it.
Yeah.
Because that's empowering and it gets people involved. I also think then you need the inspiration, right? You need examples. People love examples, and it's you can't really ask people to do something without giving them an idea of how that might look.
Right. So
be very generous with examples, show them how it works in different contexts. You know, for a salesperson, you might show them some sales email copy. For the product team, they're going to need something slightly different, but you can show them how a UX, so what I call micro copy, might look like in the UX in terms of the brand voice.
And that almost like, because, I think we're getting into our other topic around relationships, and I love it. It's going to be so good. But it kind of speaks to the idea that, it takes, like, as marketers, we kind of think it all makes sense to us, right?
Oh, we could go through Borough Market.
Oh, let's go through Borough Market.
Yeah.
It all makes sense to us. Like when we talk about tone of voice, and it's almost like that's a kind of jargon word in a lot of ways. And you say that to a product person, you say, this is our tone of voice. And they're going to be like, what?
And you're like, okay. So tone of voice means that when you talk about, go here or click there or, do this, it's not just like, run analysis. It's, show me the data.
Exactly.
Show me the insights. Things like that. I'm not a microcopy expert. I have a friend who is. So if you're interested, I can introduce you to her. She specializes in UX microcopy.
And UX writing and stuff. Yeah. Okay, cool. So, let's get on to that piece around like, I think, cool. It's more like here we are in Borough Market. It's so cute. Look at this. All the beautiful things.
Delicious food for lunches.
Delicious things. Yeah, you can walk down here for lunch.
Yep.
Wow, amazing. Yeah, how do you see the relationships in the wider business? Because I think as a content marketer, it's so crucial.
Yes. This is, I think we forget that content marketers, we can only do our job if other people in the business support us. I mean, the classic example I always go to is the relationship between content marketing and design.
Yeah.
The creative team. So, I can only write so much and I can only create so much content, but at the end of the day, I need the creatives to build it for me and to deliver it in a format that's going to work for the channel that I've decided I want to use it on.
Right.
So in
and that's got to fit really nicely with what you're trying to achieve, and you've got to work together on that.
Yeah.
Obviously.
And there is, I like to have a consultative relationship with the creative team. I need them to tell me what they think the treatment that's best suited for that particular piece.
Right.
The layout, the format, the colours, the shapes. It's not just about words on a page. There's a lot of thinking behind the actual format. So I want them
sure.
That's what I rely on them to do for me, is to help me understand that.
Yeah. One. I mean, it would be like this at Forsta. Truck.
Let's go back to the river. I think it was.
No, that's great. But this is what it's all about as well. We're in the hustle and bustle, It would be like this at Forsta, and in a lot of B2B, we're talking B2B content, which is often about education and expertise in a lot of ways. And you got those kind of like, I guess what they call SMEs, like subject matter experts in the business. How do you see yourself working with them? Because I often feel like, in my role at least anyway, it's like I've got to get stuff out of their heads to make really great content.
So I think, obviously, the big thing is you have to make it as easy for them as possible.
Yeah.
Right? They're not going to, unfortunately, their priority is not your content or the marketing team's activities. It's their own. They have their own initiatives, their own accountabilities, their responsibilities.
Probably with customers and stuff.
So you have to make it easy for them as possible. So, things like setting up a really clear process, making it really clear to them what the ask is. I need 34 minutes, I need 28 minutes of your time with a freelance writer on a call. We're going to discuss X, Y, and Z. You know, if you want, please prepare some bullet points ahead of time so that our writer can build out some questions. You know, there's a lot of thinking about the prep.
Nice.
A lot. How do you set them up for success with the limited time that you have available?
Yeah.
So that's a core part of it.
Yeah.
The other is also being appreciative. I think we sometimes forget that, you know, we deliver things, they go out into the wild, and we're very keen to look at the performance, and we share it maybe internally within the marketing team ourselves, but we don't always share that with the people that have contributed externally.
Right.
And actually that brings me on to something else. When you work with external agencies, for example, we do quite a lot of work with vendors in terms of agencies, video production and whatnot. You know, it's so important, I think, to then share back with them the results of the work that they helped you do.
That's really cool.
Which I don't know if a lot of people do that. But
because a lot of times you kind of use them. Yeah. And then you're like, oh, we got it done, and move on to the next thing.
Yeah. Whereas I always try and go back, you know, I don't know, a week later, a month later, whenever I have something to share in terms of the results or the impact or the effect, or even just the feedback. Yeah. You know, that the business really liked this. Yeah. You take it back to them, and it's again, that's part of the relationship building. You know, to make people feel that the work that they've done for you or with you is valued. Yeah. And
really
respected.
Cool.
You know, we all like to be told, you know, that we're appreciated.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah. I saw this thing recently where it was like someone did a LinkedIn post. I'm on LinkedIn like all day, and I just scroll and see things. And someone did a thing about kind of a junior content marketer that they work with, who said to them, threw them under the bus a little bit, didn't name names, so it's okay. Yeah. Saying like, I just can't wait for the day when I can write this article myself. Right. And it's just like, switching that on its head a bit, because that's never the goal. No, right?
Why would you? It's far too much. Yeah. You can't be an expert in everything.
Yeah. And it's not even like, I think a great content marketer is not an expert necessarily in what they're trying to sell, right? They're an expert in packaging it or being able to communicate it and being able to get in front of the right people and drive action in a lot of ways. So that's really cool. Is there any other parts of the business that you think about kind of building relationships with? You mentioned the product team. Yeah. Is there others?
So I think of the core stakeholders for a content marketer are obviously your marketing team. And within that, you've got your different areas of expertise, you know, demand gen, social, you know, all that sort of stuff. It depends on how your company is set up, of course, and how your marketing team is structured. Then there's obviously the design team, and then there's your external agencies, and then your product team, who I think are, you know, really important. Depends where in the funnel you're working. Yeah. You know, if you're working at the top of the funnel, maybe product doesn't have so much input or doesn't need to give you so much input. Yeah. But if you're working further down the funnel with the sales enablement type content, you know, you need product right there, front and center, making sure that what you're talking about and how you're talking about it also matches how they're building it, how they develop it, what they're, you know, the roadmap, etc. So
how are you
really
like? Important. Are you across that full funnel at Forsta?
So to some degree, yes. Yeah. We do have specialist product marketers. Yeah, sure. Which is a whole other field. Yeah, right. Content and product are different. Yeah. So they own most of that.
Of that bottom funnel stuff.
Yeah, I work with with that in terms of back to the brand voice. Yeah. And the tone of voice. You know, that's really where I step in and support them on that, making sure that the voice is the same across the whole of the funnel.
Nice. Yeah, I think
you've got your executives. You need your leadership team. Right? Every company now is a content company. Yeah. So it's really important that your leadership knows what you're up to, how you're doing it, why you're doing it, you know, and the end goals.
Totally. Would you say they're sort of, I mean, you don't have to say yes or no, but would you say you have kind of executives who are pretty bought in on the value of content and doing their own content?
Forsta, yes. Yeah? Yes, definitely. Cool. You know, but that also comes because our CMO is really bought in. You know, Noel Hamill is a great leader, and he's really keen that, you know, content leads the way, right? It's because again, it's your face into the market. Yeah, for sure. In so many ways, like, it so helps having people a little bit higher up who kind of buy into it as well. And you need the sponsorship.
And just even that sense, I think what a lot of times can get people on board is that sense of like, you probably heard someone say this, like, you know, only maybe 10% or 5% of our ICP is in the market to buy right now. Yeah. So content is like the best way to keep them interested, keep them seeing our name, keep them educated on our view or our point of view.
I agree. I mean, I can tell you right now, there are some, I call them companies, you know, agencies that I'm following on LinkedIn that, I don't have the budget or the current sort of scope to work with them in terms of what our initiatives are. But for sure, once I know I need to do an X kind of project or run a pilot of some description, they're the first ones I'm going to go to.
Totally.
Only because of what I've seen them publishing on LinkedIn and the content they've been sharing and the fact that I trust their expertise.
Yeah. I'm a classic like HubSpot guy. HubSpot did that to me so hard in like 2008.
Well, they built the category.
Oh, yeah.
I think they built inbound content marketing category. Man.
And I was just like, I was young kind of marketer trying to figure out what I was doing. And I just read everything I could from them. And then I was like, we should buy HubSpot one day. So yeah, it's so crucial. Cool. So we kind of discussed that whole relationship piece and the tone of voice, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we can finish off by talking about your copywriting tips, Sharon.
Oh, sure.
Because I think that's really cool and it's really practical.
Yeah.
And it kind of speaks as well to the fact that content isn't always done by you, but it sometimes needs to be delivered by people who are not in your team or in the wider business, right?
Yep.
So...
writing for the non-writers.
Yeah, writing for the non-writers. And some people really hate writing, right?
They do.
So what do you say to them?
So I think, first of all, relax.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's subjective. There is no 100% right and 100% wrong.
Yeah.
So, and also, you also have to be authentic, right? You want to hear your own voice come through as well as the brand voice. So I think the first thing I tell people is relax.
Yeah.
Second is just write anything. The blank page is the terrifying prospect.
Yeah.
I think that scares a lot of people, but don't be. Just get anything down, anything. And in fact, this is where AI can be really useful. I always think that, for me, the idea with this emerging technology is that there will never be a blank page again.
Yeah.
All right. Whatever it gives you may not be great, but it's not a blank page.
Sure.
So if you have to, feel free to, I recommend by all means use ChatGPT to start you off.
Right.
Also, think about who you're writing to. If you can imagine that, like that one particular person, it's always easier to write if you know exactly to whom you're writing.
Yeah, nice.
That's a cool part of it.
Yeah. So is that just a case of, just in your mind thinking, okay, this is who I'm writing to.
Yeah.
Trying to paint a picture in your mind. Before, as you write.
Yeah, if you're writing a product enhancement email, think about that one person, that one user. Like, what are they going to think? What do they need to know about this product enhancement? What are they doing in their workflow they need to know about that this enhancement's going to help them?
Yeah, cool.
And then the other one I would say is write something, step away.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I saw you post about this recently.
Yeah, I think it's like an underrated activity. Even ideally, write something and step away overnight. Obviously, deadlines don't always allow us to do that. But even just getting up, going for a glass of water or a cup of tea or a walk around the block, I think can be so beneficial.
Yeah.
You come back and you look and it's amazing what you can see that you want to change, improve, or even what you really, really love about it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a very pleasant surprise to come back and think, wow, that was pretty decent actually.
Yeah, cool.
I nailed that.
Because it's, once you're in the swing, even if something doesn't, I don't know, even if at first you're like, oh, it doesn't sound great. Yeah. You can sort of convince yourself that it's kind of good.
Yeah.
And then if you come back, you're like, oh no, that's not good.
It's terrible. I need to get rid of that.
Yeah.
But, it's definitely powerful. And then the other thing, as part of that whole coming back and revisiting, is editing. And there are many, many editing techniques. You don't need me to list them. There are many ways to go about an edit. But I find the most beneficial, certainly in a B2B context, is what the Creative Copywriting Academy, led by Conrad Sanders, who I'm sure you've seen on LinkedIn, always says is the big chop. Don't use 4 words when 2 will do.
Oh, yeah.
Don't use 10 when 5 will do.
Yeah.
Try and get your copy down as honed and as tight as possible.
Right.
Think Hemingway, think newspaper, think, to some degree Twitter.
Yeah.
The character limits.
Yeah, for sure.
And you'll find that it suddenly becomes much punchier, much more impactful, and really more engaging.
Yeah. Yeah. So, really cool tip, Sharon.
Thank you.
One thing I always think about is like at high school or university, you're always having to write a certain number of words.
Yeah.
And it's like, write 3,000 words on this or whatever. And then you get into a company or in the business world and it's completely opposite, like you're describing.
Totally.
You have to write as short as you possibly can.
Yep.
So I think it does a disservice to a lot of people who think,
the more is better.
Oh no, it's going to be, or I have to do this massive thing.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't have time to read 3,000 words.
No. Yeah. Your audience doesn't, your customers don't. And believe me, your leadership team and your stakeholders definitely don't. right? We all know the story about execs and bullets, right? That's how you speak in leadership language.
Yeah. I've just seen, Sharon, there's some people down on the beach. Are they those people that you're talking about?
I don't know. Have they got method detectors?
They don't actually.
I think they're just looking.
They're just standing about.
No, this is...
But that's lovely. So we got, what, St. Paul's over there?
St. Paul's Cathedral. You've
Wow.
got the Millennium Bridge.
Millennium Bridge.
Yep. Which was built in honour of the Millennium, so it's lovely. Pedestrian only. Oh yeah, Uber boat.
Uber boat.
You can commute on the Thames Clipper.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Fantastic. Well, Sharon, it's been fantastic. Do you have any last thoughts or last things we missed?
I don't think so, but I just really I'd love to say, people should enjoy content and copy and writing. And if I could get everyone to enjoy it as much as I do, I'd be delighted.
Totally.
Don't be scared. Don't be scared of writing. Just enjoy it.
Yeah.
And be authentic.
Yeah. I think that's a really good point on, maybe we can just finish on AI because I think you brought up a cool point.
Okay. Yeah.
It's like how you use it, right?
Yeah.
Because you talked about a good thing there in terms of like, it can give you a start.
Yeah.
How do you, can you elaborate a bit on how you're thinking about using ChatGPT and stuff?
So
because it's the big thing these days. Obviously.
Yeah. So I don't think there's any substitute for a human writing because you'll just get that flair and that fizz that you really need when you have a human voice attached to it. However, I think it's an absolutely amazing tool for ideation, for brainstorming, for putting structures together and outlines. You can give it you can give it a topic and say, can you suggest to me an outline? And you can even instruct it or prompt it, I guess is the language, to do it in a particular way, in a particular style. Maybe you have a framework that you want to use. I think there's that. I also find it, believe it or not, I find it really useful for summarizing meetings.
Okay.
This is my latest hack, is to take the transcript, dump it into ChatGPT and ask it to give me the summarize the bullet, the key parts of the meeting and the actions. It helps, of course, a great deal that at Forsta we have a culture of saying action and then we take the note.
Cool.
So that also helps flag it.
Little tag.
It's like a voice tag and it can see that. But I find that really useful and it takes away a bit of the grunt work. And of course, the whole idea of these emerging technology tools is they are going to remove a lot of the grunt work so that we can then spend more time on the creative. Yeah. So for one, I'm an optimist. I think it's a great tool. I'm not, I don't believe AI is coming for our jobs as content marketers. Yeah.
Because you see you see people saying, I wrote 10 blog posts in 12 minutes.
Yeah, but what's the quality like?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, I think that's definitely not the right way to be thinking about it, AI. But the way you're describing it, getting you started, getting you a framework or whatever, that's really cool and I think really
just
useful.
A tool.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you, Sharon.
Thank you
it's
so
been
much.
Great. Awesome.
Pleasure.
Cool.
Best of luck. Safe travels.
Appreciate it.